Welcome back to the Ed Morrissey Show podcast. I am very happy to introduce Chad Caton, the National Director of Veterans for Trump. And we're going to talk about Veterans for Trump. We're going to talk about the border film that Chad was part of for Salem Communications. We're going to talk a little bit about General Flynn and all sorts of things going on in this cycle. But first off, Chad, welcome to the show. Great to be talking with you.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate the IT help before we went on. I really do.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I always do, man. I'm the most transparent person ever. I like showing my stupid. It keeps me on a lower platform to fall off of. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. I got to tell you, I feel exactly the same way when, I just like, having all the mistakes out there because then everybody understands, what my technical limitations are. All I did was help Chad rename his window there. And it's a pretty obscure thing in Zoom. So pretty easy to fix, though.
I've done probably 600 shows, so they all appreciate it now that we ran into Ed. So either way, I feel stupid, but nonetheless, I get to move forward. Anytime I use Zoom, I'm now actually named the right person.
You are no more stupid than I am. I've had my, as people who have watched this know, I've had my own share of difficulties with Zoom in the past too. So sure. I'm glad I could help, and I'm glad that you're here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. First off, as National Director for Veterans for Trump, give us a little bit of your background.
I was a United States Navy CB, and then I ended up trying to figure out what I was going to be after that, after I gotten hurt in the military. And essentially I started a construction company out in California, and then I ended up moving to South Carolina when the market started to go down. And I went back to being an occupational firefighter. And when I was a firefighter, I ended up breaking my neck and my shoulder, and in a right to work state, I had 180 days to get back to work. I did the JRAT, did everything I was supposed to do, got back to work after breaking my neck and my shoulder in 180 days, and passed my physical fitness to be able to become back on as a firefighter. Well, because I had to force myself back, I ended up lifting a lady who was about 350 pounds that had fell and couldn't get up. And I ended up collapsing my nerve canal in my back. And from there, I haven't been able to feel below my right leg. I lost the use of my left arm for a while. And then what I ended up finding is the fire department in my county said, well, that was really a bummer. And now you got to sue us for it because it happened on the job. And then on top of it all, they fired me on Christmas Eve with a letter.
Then thank you for your service, I guess.
Yeah, total smack on the back, and have a nice day. But from there, I had a buddy of mine come up to me and he said, Chad, you have always been able to fix the world's problems at every one of our dinner tables in every firehouse. Why don't you stand up for us? We need somebody to be a voice, be it on right to work state. The county was hunting firemen that would speak up, and I went after the county chairman that essentially fired me, and we took him out. Took him out twice now. And from there, we've built our political media. I've been on 4 networks, a radio show, got fired because I was at January 6th. I get fired a lot because I don't really stay between the lines. Ultimately, I think it's time that we stop pussyfooting around and actually talk about what's going on. And then I came on to Veterans for Trump. We worked really hard in the early primaries to put Trump in a great position. Right now, there's a big reorganization going on in all aspects with Trump's campaign, RNC, us to see where we really need to focus and make sure that we get Trump in the White House. So right now, we're continuing to build one of the largest coalitions across the country of veterans to reinvigorate them and get them involved in their civics and fight once again for their country.
Well, again, thank you for your service. By the way, my uncle, who's long since passed away, was a CB in World War II.
So, right, man. Those were the beginning, and I gotta tell you, it's nice that people even know who we are. We kind of like it that you don't know who we are because we are the redheaded stepchildren of the military. They want to try to call us a squid, but I was never on a boat in my life. I wore camis and was out there with the Marines, and the CBs ran, and we did our own thing. And we get the whole motto behind it is can do. The impossible takes us a little bit, or the hard takes us a little bit. The impossible takes us a little bit longer. And that's why I have that same drive here, and I'm trying to put it out to all of our states that are representing these coalitions and getting involved.
Well, it's great. Glad to see that you are, you're resilient. You've bounced back from a few things, Chad, and it's good Good to see you engaged. So tell us a little bit, Veterans for Trump. Veterans were a really key part of Trump's 2016 campaign
Mhm.
and 2022, but I mean, as well. But really a key. I think that veterans really were a huge part of the energy, let's say, of the 2016 campaign.
Mhm.
Um, has that changed at all? What are the things that are motivating veterans in this cycle to support Trump or just to be engaged?
Honestly, yeah, it's changed. In 2016, it was fire in a pan and let's go. And since then, I think we've become apathetic. I think a lot of people are just overall tired. The energy isn't there yet. It's getting bigger. And that goes a lot with getting people in their daily lives that don't follow politics to actually get engaged. It's not close enough to the election, or there isn't something big enough. Other than today, they decided to go ahead and do warrantless spying on American citizens, and they passed that through. So I mean, it's gonna, I'm a big fan of critical fail. People are like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Because critical fail brings people away from hot yoga and makes them focus on their civics." And
Yeah,
I'm starting to see the veterans are more about it. They don't want to ever see a civil war type concept that people keep talking about. I'm not sure exactly who we fight. The people that hate us hate guns, but at the same time, here we are. And I'm a big fan of educate, activate, and motivate these veterans, and we're doing it in huge numbers. So I think it'll be there again, though.
well, let me ask you this about that too, because I'm curious about this. Have you shifted focus to the general election now? Because clearly Donald Trump has got,
Sure.
even if there was a dispute, which there isn't. I mean, there isn't anybody in the race for
The
the
only
rest of
thing
the
they don't
primary.
dispute about Trump.
But I mean, has the focus really shifted now to general election operations? And where are you looking? I'm not asking you to speak for the whole Trump organization or even the entire necessarily Veterans for Trump. There's a lot of moving parts there. But from your perspective,
Well,
is this now more about Trump versus Biden, and where on the ground do you think that you're going to do the most good?
Well, that's a heavy question, but I'll try to keep it short. Yes, we are transitioning. I believe that. Man, I even feel weird saying transitioning now. It's just
Yeah, it's kind of a freighted word these days.
it sucks, because I know somebody's gonna clip that and use it against me. But whatever.
I'm transitioning, Chad.
Chad's transitioning.
No.
I'm sorry. I think humor is important in all of this too.
Absolutely.
But where we sit is, we know the Trump campaign is legitimately looking to just going after Biden. We see the RNC now with the change that's happened there. I know that is revamping. I would say that Veterans for Trump is revamping right now. We are lifting up, General Flynn and his great movie that's out there as one of our founders, because his movie is super important. It's super important for people to go see what the government has the ability to do. It's crazy the places they've had it already. People have been crying, but ultimately where I'm at and what I see is right now we have to see where the chess pieces lie, right?
Right.
With that transition going after Biden and making sure that we take him down. I think we also have to be cognizant of our local elections. We have to look at these people that are voting for warrantless searches and warrantless spying on Americans and remove them from office. We can't replace a cabal with a cabal. That makes it even more complicated when you have somebody that's won the primary in your local or your congressional or your Senate, that you don't replace a turd with a turd, so to speak. So from there, it's making it more difficult. But I think that ultimately, if you ask Chad Caton, what do you have your target wrapped around? The uniparty, that is the Republican Party, the ones that are not doing the will of the people in the Republican Party, or even those that are at the bedrock foundation of what we are supposed to be as conservatives. So looking at them, and then the Democrats, I don't even worry about, because they usually handle themselves and they're not real intelligent. But after that, I'm all about getting our America First candidates out in front of Democrats and flipping some seats.
Yeah, and I think that primary seasons are really great times to challenge incumbents and make sure that that they are accountable for
Sure.
the votes that they cast. And we're still in primary season in regards to that. And we will be really kind of, depending on what part of the country you're in, through August. I think in some cases September, although very early September.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still room for that. But once the general election starts in, I mean, pretty much the focus is going to be getting regardless of whether or not your favorite primary person got through, the focus is really going to be up and down. I'm assuming for Veterans for Trump, up and down the ballot to make sure that, assuming Trump gets reelected, elected again, I should say, that he's got a Congress that can at least won't be oppositional to him.
Under my direction, absolutely. But I am cognizant of local wars. I'm here in South Carolina. I am in the middle of the most liberal conservative supermajority in the United States of America. Everybody thinks South Carolina is this big red state. It's a joke. I have two of the lowest rated senators under the CPAC grading system in the country. The South rising again was never going to be with a bullet. It was going to take over the South, and they're going to do it through their capitals. And we've recognized that. We have one of the biggest pushes here, and we're real big on getting people involved in the Republican Party. It's amazing how we watch the dumpster fire that is Washington, but we have a tendency to ignore it in our own backyard. It's one of the most crazy things ever. And if we took over the Republican Party, the Republican Party is an absolute image of what's in Washington. So obviously we need to do some spring cleaning in our own backyard.
Well, I live in Texas, and I can tell you, at least on school choice, you've got a point. Because the Republican supermajority here really let us down on school choice. But Governor Abbott took out, I think, half a dozen of the state legislators that voted against his school choice bill, and I think probably made a point. So when they come back into session, yeah, I'm crossing my fingers, but when they come back into session, I think we're going to finally dismantle the public education monopoly here in Texas and bring real accountability to education. It's those issues too. I mean, that's not necessarily a veteran focused issue, but it speaks to the fact that we do have, as conservatives, we do have to stop focusing entirely on Washington. We really have to implement these policies in places where we can hold people accountable to the performance of it. So yeah, I totally feel you on South Carolina.
Well, let me make this real clear, because you stipulated a veteran issue. There is no bigger veteran issue than the safety of this country. Right. That is every veteran's issue, number one, no matter what they have to deal with, whether it takes me 19 months to get an eye exam or the other issues under Agent Orange and things that have happened to us veterans specifically. You don't really hear us out there thumping our chest about it, right? Because you know what we're worried about is we're worried about this country. We're worried about what you just said in Texas. We're worried about what's happening in South Carolina with liberal Republicans and the R after their name. We're really sick and tired of looking at our border that we understand needs to be sovereign and protected, and it's not happening. We're watching people be killed by immigrants that are coming into this country, and they say it's at a low number, but one is too many. One is too many, and for us as veterans, that is our goal. That is our, there's a lot of groups out there helping veterans, but what we are reconstituting those veterans to get involved and fight once more.
It's great. And it's not a low number, by the way. I live in Texas. It's not a low number.
Well, based on the grandiose, the way they explain it,
Right, no, I totally agree. I think you're right. That's what they say, and it ain't. I'm not contradicting you. I'm contradicting them.
Marcus is really smart. He's a smart guy.
So Chad, I mean, we're talking a little bit about General Michael Flynn, who was briefly in the first Trump administration, and he's pretty involved in this. You were just mentioning him briefly before we started recording. Tell us a little bit about what Michael Flynn's doing with Veterans for Trump, and just that.
Well, it's not every day that I get to say my boss is General Michael Flynn, one of the, what did Obama say? The most dangerous man on the planet. I am blessed to know him as a mentor and who he is. And the story that he is traveling the country right now, showing everybody, it's number one on Amazon. It's number one in Walmart. He's beaten Oppenheimer in sales on the DVDs. He's actually, I think, number one in Salem. I think he said yesterday when I was interviewing him. It's amazing, this film, because it hits you in all the feels, and it's one to take your liberal friends to, your independents, and he really gets the message out of what one family had to deal with and how they fought back comparison to what it, and he explains to what happened to them is coming to all of us. And it's ironic that I'm on your show today as we talk about the FISA warrant
Right.
go through Congress right now, because here comes the deep state. Here comes the government to dictate what's going to happen without any rules. This is what General Flynn's been yelling about from day one, and he's on tour right now to go out there and thank America for standing with him.
The funny thing about that is I actually think that you can make an argument for Section 702, which is, I think, the part that was because FISA itself doesn't get renewed. It's 702.
Right.
You can make an argument for it if you have an FBI that's accountable and where abuses get punished, significantly enough to establish counter incentives to abuse and corruption. Only one guy got punished for what happened in the whole Russiagate thing. It was Kevin Kleinfelter, I think was the name. Yeah. Kevin Kleinfelter got probation because he pled out and he had to lose his law license. And that was it. He lost his job, he lost his law license. That's it. That's not a disincentive. And I have a real serious problem with having the same agency who treated Mark Houck like he was Alvin Karpis, is how I put it today.
Yep.
Having that type of authority without any disincentives and without any accountability for it. And so I'm kind of torn on this. I think it's important to have the kind of surveillance capability that you need to protect the country. But on the other hand, if you're using it to target your political opponents at home, then clearly that's a bad thing.
I'll go even further. Donald Trump's a political opponent, but Chad Caton is a former firefighter that uses the computer and this awesome Shure microphone to put the truth out to as many people that'll listen. I'm a target under that. I have had multiple state investigations. I've been felony stopped multiple times in my town because somebody called and said that Chad Caton was passing out AR-15s at Planet Fitness. You name it. I pull trackers off my truck. They can't allow it, and that's why I tell people, look, all you have to do, and I close every show with, show up, stand up, speak up. It's your republic. Fight for it. I'll stand at the tip of the spear. Ed's standing at the tip of the spear. We are out here, and we're okay with it, laughing with each other. There's no reason that you can't stand with us. And the biggest problem with the FISA thing today is that they put an amendment in there, and it didn't pass. We have a majority. It's not a big majority, but we have the majority, and the amendment itself makes sense to all Americans everywhere. And we even had some Democrats vote with it. So, our system is broke. It's straight up broke. I'm trying to fix it before we get to critical fail, and that's where General Flynn is. That's why we keep talking about local, and you can't sit waiting for somebody to save you and then go out and bitch online about nobody saving you. It's up to you.
You can, but it's pretty weak.
I'm going to clown you if you do. Go on my Twitter. I dare you.
I mean, honestly, that's like a great closing line. So now I want you to tell us, that really sums it up. I want you to tell us how people can get involved with Veterans for Trump and how they can help you guys out.
We don't need any help. That's what's beautiful about it. We're not going to ask anything from you, but we would like for you to join our ranks. By doing so, you can go to veteransfortrump.us, veteransfortrump.us, fill it out. If you're not a veteran, it stops you at a certain point when we fill it out. We're not going to send you WinRed. We're not going to say, hey, this is Donald Trump, and I need you today, Bob. We're not doing any of that. All we're going to do is send you letters. We're going to give you information on your state. We're going to give it to your state presidents of Veterans for Trump. They're going to say, hey, they're trying to bring ranked choice voting into South Carolina, which they tried to do. We went there and stopped it. This is what it takes. Numbers win. When the government no longer fears us and we fear the government, the republic is lost. Don't let it happen. Stand up and do something. Yeah,
veteransfortrump.us. That's for as an FOR, veteransfortrump.us, and that's
Correct.
where you can find. It's where you can find the organization. And where you can find Chad, who's working hard and doing his best to fix the system.
I have to separate a lot of what I say from Veterans for Trump. So follow me on I'm Fired Up the number 2 at I'm Fired Up number 2 on Twitter, because I'm not trying to bring no ugly to the president. I am the guy on the wall. I'm not the guy. I'm a terrible person, but I'm trying to do it for the rest of my country. And you need me coming through that wall or standing on that wall. And I need more people to stand with us.
Chad Caton, Veterans for Trump, National Director of Operations. Thanks so much for joining us for a little bit today. Real pleasure talking with you, and look forward to doing it again sometime.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate you.